Thank you for staying with us. It's time now to take a look at stories making headlines on the front page of Nigerian newspapers. And I begin with the Nation newspaper. The major story here says, Appeal Court lays to rest Kano judgment, certified true copy controversy. Appeals Court lays to rest Kano judgment, certified true copy controversy. And some writers there say, clerical error can't invalidate verdict. The Appeals Court registrar spoke on that. A party seeks probe. Police disperse protesters in Kano. NNPP takes case to Supreme Court. And more reactions have been trailing the matter of the certified true copy controversy. Now, at the downstrip, inspector killed in policeman-soldier clash. Inspector killed in policeman-soldier clash. That happened in Adamawa. Now, federal government, states, councils share about 906 billion naira. That story at the downstrip of the Nation newspaper. At the top corner there, we see Fasaranti, Falai, others intervene in Akeredolu Ayedatiwa feud. We see elder statesmen of the Pan-Yoruba group, Afenifere, resolving to intervene in this matter that has been going on between the governor and his deputy. And we hope that that will be resolved soon. 2024-26 trillion naira budget, federal government targets 7.8 trillion naira loan. And then another story here says, Haruna Musa takes office. All right, NNPCL allays fears of petrol shortage ahead. Yuletide. First Lady inaugurates market money scheme. Emefiele gets 300 million naira bail. Trial of 191 electoral offences, suspects to begin. Ikpoyi, Edo, Anambra have highest number of suspects. All right. That's the much we can take on the front page of the Nation newspaper. To this Nigerian newspaper now. And the major story here says, riots in Kano over trending certified true copy judgment by Appeal Court. We've not seen the document, open court judgment. More important, APC is reacting. Appellate Court ruling remains valid. Governor Yusuf files suit at Supreme Court, says NNPP. Now, other stories, oil theft, greatest threat to economy, Reps Speaker laments. 25 killed, dozen injured in truck crash in Niger. INEC, NBA to commence prosecution of electoral offenders in 2023 general elections. Senate outlaws importation of locally manufactured items, passes 2024-2026 medium-term expenditure framework. FSB bans waivers, favors NGOs as sole beneficiaries. And then at the top corner, we have the story talking about Forex turnover hits $198.2 million as Naira drops to 840 Naira to a dollar at the official market. All right, that's the much we can take. For more details, you can pick up this Nigerian newspaper. We'll move now to the Daily Independent. Still talking about the certified true copy judgment dispute. NNPP asks NJC that's the Nigeria Judicial Council, to probe Appeal Court ruling on Kano Guba poll. APC links misreading of judgment to typographical errors. Protest breaks out in Kano over Appeal Court's judgment over the certified true copy. Appeal Court admits clerical error to correct it as appropriate. And the Federal High Court, CJ, releases new posting for judges. Alleged 1.6 billion naira fraud, Emefiele secures 300 million naira bail. Trial begins November 28. FAC shares 906.95 billion naira among federal government, states, local governments for October. Now, 2 grandmothers, 4,590 others graduate from legal skill acquisition program. Senate OK's 2024-2026 medium-term expenditure framework orders probe into tax waivers. And President Tinubu returns to Abuja after 5 days trip to Germany. Another story here now, moving to the front page of the Leadership newspaper. The major story, Lawyers demand merit in selection of Supreme Court justices, warn against sacrificing competence for politics, nepotism, a confirmed unwritten code in selection process. Now, Kano stands still for Governor Abba Kabir Yusuf on arrival from Abuja. That's the picture of the mammoth crowd there welcoming him back to the state. To the top corner, Kano parties asked to return judgment copies, and those are the major stories on the front page of the Leadership newspaper. And finally, with me, the First News newspaper, the major story talking about tension in Kano as appeal court insists Governor Yusuf remains sacked. And the writer blames discrepancies in judgment, certified true copy on clerical error. Police tear gas concourses protesting supporters. Fresh dust over contradictory certified true copy as Kano governor's lawyers lock horns with judges. Now, police disperse protesting Osun judiciary workers as union declares strike. Another story here, court grants ex-CBN Governor Emefiele 300 million naira bail. And Cross River Guba appeal court upholds Governor Otu's victory. Lokbobiri pledges full support for expansion plans of Walter Smith refinery. Nasarawa Guba appeal court delivers judgment today. Eyes will be on the judiciary for that judgment. And another story here, Senate urges Wike to probe $500 million CCTV contract in the Federal Capital Territory. The FCC arraigns 3 other alleged diversion of 97 million naira cocoa beans. Toxicology on Mohbad's body ongoing in U.S., Corona has said. Coup. Concerned ECOWAS parliamentarians want Niger sanctions lifted. And at the top corner, re-election, Ubuku NDDC MD congratulates Diri there. That's the Bayelsa State Governor who was re-elected recently at the off-cycle election. Theophilus.
We move to the Daily Trust this morning. It says, appeal court insists on Governor Yusuf sack, admits errors in certified judgment. And the writer says, protest rocks Kano. NNPP approaches Supreme Court, rejects request for CTC retrieval. Judgment read in court more important, said APC. Contradictory verdict embarrassing, scandalous, Yaduda Falana says. The next story says 25 killed in Niger road crash. And Ondo in coma as Akeredolu hangs on to power. Nasarawa Guba dispute appeal court delivers judgment today. At the top corner there, Osun governor knocked for failing to hold cabinet meetings. How army police clash led to inspector's death in Adamawa State. Missing radio tower, NSCDC takes responsibility, begins investigation. That's the story in the Daily Trust newspaper. We move to the blueprint. It says here, as protest rocks Kano over appeal court verdict, APC NNPP differ and way out of CTC error. Lawyers familiar with clerical errors, party's legal advisor says. NNPP says appellant courts can't correct mistakes. 6 NJC judicial stakeholders intervention. Senate to probe issuance of tax waivers from 2015 till date. Troops rescue 31 persons kidnapped in Sokoto State. Interior Minister canvasses UN reforms on correctional service. That's in the Blueprint newspaper this morning. We move to the Punch. It says here, Kano poll controversy. Police NNPP protesters clash, more cloud over judgment. Courts APC blame clerical errors. NNPP Labour Party insists judgment doctored. Yusuf heads for Supreme Court, says appeal court lacks jurisdiction to determine party membership. Fintiri intervenes as soldiers kill inspector in Adamawa State. Senate passes MTF to probe tax waivers under Buhari. Police tear gas protesters shield Osun CJ from mob. 1.2 billion naira fraud. Emefiele gets 300 million naira bail restricted to Abuja. That's in the Punch newspaper. The Daily Sun says Osun, Edo, Anambra, Kano top 2023 electoral offenders list. 187 lawyers, 16 SANs to begin prosecution of suspects. 1,076 arrested in 35 states. Fuel we have supplied to last beyond Christmas. Kyari tells Senate. Ikpoyi pledges support for NNPC Limited. Former CBN Governor Theophilus gets 300 million naira bail. Federal government moves to unlock $300 billion in deed capital via land reforms. That's the story in the Daily Sun newspaper. We move to The Guardian. Poor funding raises concerns for 270 new private varsities. More universities, less research output, quality. And it has some statistics here. Tension in Kano over Guba verdict as Akeredolu Ayedatiwa crisis rocks Ondo. Senate laments cyber threats to digital economy, $500 million yearly loss. Court grants Emefiele 300 million naira bail. Orders CBN to update CSO on e-Naira. Governor Fubara opens 2 world-class health facilities. Now, these are the stories in the Guardian newspaper. We move to the Nigerian News Direct, and it says federal government targets $500 million annual revenue from cyberspace. Senate decries loss to cybercrime, moves to amend Cybercrime Act 2015. Poor funding hindering enforcement of cybercrime laws, as according to the Senate committee. Lagos graduates 4,592 from skill acquisition programs. Adeleke urges State Assembly to pass startup electricity bill. These are the stories in the Nigerian News Direct. And finally, from our end here, we move to Business Day. NLNG dividend to NNPC hits 8-year high. Output decline threatens record revenue. Better traffic behavior can save Lagos 4 trillion naira yearly, according to reports. Money market rate spikes since Cardoso took over CBN. Mentoring, a catalyst for SME development in Nigeria. Nigeria's food system undergoing strain. These are the stories in the Business Day newspaper this morning.
So many stories on the front page of the newspapers this morning, but what is dominating the papers has to do with the matter of the certified true copies of the judgment by the appeal court, the controversies surrounding it. We've seen legal luminaries react to this matter, and we are still going to perhaps have that conversation later on in the course of the program. But we've seen how protests also rocked the state yesterday, where those supporting NNPP came out on the streets to protest this whole matter. But we'll get more clarity with regards to how the courts got to this point of having a clerical error, because like I mentioned earlier, it has come as a matter of this shouldn't be happening, because the eyes of a majority of Nigerians have been on the judiciary for quite some time now. After the general election, we've been seeing how Nigerians have been interested in what is going on with the judiciary and how the judiciary has been reacting to matters of the election. And so for it to allow this kind of error at a time where its image is being questioned and it seems the judiciary is under trial is quite worrisome.
Online, I read about some lawyers who say this is not the first time it has happened in the judiciary. But looking at the critical nature of these matters, like you mentioned, that many people the eyes of everyone has been on the judiciary, so much so that every media, even TVC News, had to carry this court judgments live to show that, okay, this is what we're doing. We are being transparent and all of that. And in all of that, all of these things happen. And so a lot of lawyers are saying it has happened before. The judicial system has a way of correcting itself, the precedents and all of that. But in my own view, the critical nature of this should not allow for that. Yes, in as much as some of these things can happen, but before it is given to lawyers, the judgment is passed to lawyers, have a review. So you don't have some of these errors. Now look at it. Other parties are taking advantage of this and saying that the appeal court lacks jurisdiction in these matters. But like you said, we're still going to talk about this and gain some more clarity on all of this.
It's important we have clarity too, but because the essence of having this kinds of conversation on this platform is to educate people. and to create more awareness with regards to how these matters are handled. Because there's so much going on as it is. There's even the calls for the agency to wade into the matter and reining on the appeals court. There were conversations even before this controversy with regards to the certified true copies came out. There were those who were saying that the contradictory verdict coming out from the appeals court and that of the tribunal, a lot of persons were not satisfied with what was going on. Even senior advocates of Nigeria were not happy with what was going on, and so began to speak before the issue of the clerical error came up on board. Right now, there are questions, in fact, statements coming out from persons eminent Nigerians who are speaking with regards to the state of the judiciary, how it is that we have gotten to this point. We recall some statement had come up with one of the judges in the Supreme Court when he resigned. And he talked about the fact that so many things that the judiciary he knew before is not the one that is right now. Yeah. So many issues. So many issues. So one has to be careful, especially when you are in the limelight, as it is. At a critical time like this, these issues shouldn't come up. Yes, we are speaking. Yes, we are humans and all of that. But one has to take extra care when issues like this come up. But how this matter will be resolved moving forward, we'll see how because the appeals court has put in place measures to addressing that. And we are waiting to see what happens moving forward, how they handle this from here. Because they are saying, I recall, I read this morning where the registrar of the appeal court was saying, this matter is not even supposed to generate this kind of reaction, but it is.
But it has.
It is. Why? Because it's a critical moment.
Yes.
It's a critical moment where all eyes have been on the judiciary, especially after the general election.
Imagine this had happened at the Supreme Court when they were determining the outcome of the elections, of the presidential elections. This is not what we'll be talking about. At all. At all. It will generate so much furor that it might even cause a protest. You know.
We have seen, there's a protest that happened in Kano.
Yeah, this is Kano, but if this had happened at the larger scale, it would have been nationwide. You can imagine the kind of situation this would have caused nationwide. And so the judiciary has to be circumspect. And if we're talking about the judiciary, we should not even forget, we should not just look at the judges. Those in the value chain, the clerical staff, the lawyers as well, everybody in the system has to take one blame or the other, because just a particular judge at a point accused some lawyers of trying to bribe tribunal members, panel. And so if we have to look at cleansing the judiciary, it has to be the whole gamut. Holistically.
Well, there are so many controversies.
So many.
The matter of state capture has also come on board, where some persons are saying politicians are using the judiciary and all. So these are the issues that we'll need to perhaps look into as we have the conversation later today on how there is seemingly this notion about a state capture of the judiciary, if the judiciary is independent or not. We know how our democracy is. If the judiciary is still the last hope of the common man, with how things are being said to be going.
Remember when a senator says he used...
That matter. That matter has come to the fore again. Has come to the fore again with regards to this whole issue that has been happening now.
Yes.
People are beginning to dig up one issue or the other that has to do with the judiciary, which I think is not really sitting well with me at this point. We need to understand how well we are moving as a country, because in a democracy, you need the judiciary. They play a critical role. We have been seeing reactions from persons who are saying that, so what's the essence? Why do we have to go out to vote if the judiciary have to determine okay, the outcome of an election? Our votes no longer count as it is. So that is where the matter of state capture comes in, where people are saying, oh, politicians are using, the judiciary to win elections and do
Get what they want.
Get what they want. We need to clarify issues. They are very critical matters. The judiciary has to be the last hope of the common man, else I don't know what we are going for or gaining at the end of the day when we're talking about having a democracy, when issues like this are stemming up. But the judiciary must work on its image.
Yes.
It's a critical matter as we speak.
Critical.
Its image is at stake right now, and people need to see some level of hope in the judiciary. How did we even get to this point? We must even begin to look back and address the matter from the root and not just treat symptoms as it is. It's a critical matter, and I hope that we'll be able to, our guest will be able to do justice to this conversation. I believe he will be able to do justice to this conversation when we bring him on board to talk about this issue. Well, as we're still waiting for our guest, let's quickly perhaps touch on this other story. Talking about the matter that federal allocation, there's the states, local government, federal government, and to share or have shared 906.95 billion naira. I hope people are looking at their state governors as they expend these monies. It's critical.
We're looking at state governors, federal government. What about the local governments?
How much gets to them?
Is there local government autonomy?
That's the question.
True. Some local government gets the allocations and do not do anything and point everyone to the state government.
Or they tell you they don't get enough.
They don't get enough.
And then the state government points you to the federal government. But now they are the closest to the people. We are seeing these monies. Recall that some state governments put out their budget expenditure, and that also raised some controversies. With regard, even Lagos State was part of those states that
Lagos was the first.
that generated controversies with the kind of, when it put out its expenditure, people were raising questions and eyebrow, but the governor came out to, clarify some issues on that. But then it is good that people are following through with what their state governments are doing with these monies. It's critical because these monies are meant for the improvement of the state for the people.
The taxpayers' money.
For the people.
Yes.
So if the citizens are not actively participating in our democracy as it is, putting pressure on either the government to understand what it's doing with these allocations, because it is not just put out on the front page of the papers for you to just see and hear and then just say, oh, whatever they do. It is for you to follow through, active participation in our democracy. That is what will help us get to where we are going. So you should follow the money to know what your state government is doing, or what it has done with the monies they are getting as allocation. This is for the month of October. Go and find out. I'm emphasizing.
You had to emphasize that. But I think I'm not going to cast aspersions on the older generation, but I think the younger generation have done quite well in following all of this through, because we see, if you notice during the elections or before the election campaigns to the elections, many young people have been very interested in the election outcome, on how INEC conducts itself and all of that. And so we have seen a larger percentage of the young people, especially with the advent of social media, getting involved in governance and trying to understand how things are done so that we can keep our leaders accountable in all of this. So I think it's important that as citizens, we follow through on everything the government is doing. We should not just be laid back and say, well, our votes will not count. They will do what they want to do. We should always follow through, ensure that our government, our leaders are held accountable for their actions.
Absolutely. It's important. Democracy is supposed to be about the people.
Yes.
And so,
the people.
Yes, for the people, by the people, for the people. So if they are not, if the government in power are not doing what you think is right, how do you even know what they are doing in the first place if you do not?
If you don't follow through.
Follow through what is being said to know. But right now we are seeing some level of active participation, especially after the general election. A lot of persons became aware of what governance is about and how it is important for them to follow through and be part of the whole thing that government or the system as it is. So now that we are seeing, certain allocation, I'm sure the breakdown of how much was given to each state government will be in the papers. To get more details for that, then you can now begin to ask questions, have conversations. We are not saying go on the streets to protest. It is about asking critical questions.
The right questions.
The right questions to put pressure on government to make state governments understand that you are interested in knowing what they are doing for you. And then state government perhaps should begin to take it a step further. We know that sometimes town hall meetings are held in Lagos, for instance, where people speak with regards to what they need in their own locality. Then we see members of the National Assembly sometimes return to speak with their constituents to understand what the situation is. But I think we shouldn't just limit it to once in a while thing. We should make it as regular as possible. State governments should have channels for which people can, air their views. They could even make suggestions that will move the state forward. It's critical. It's all about the state. At the end of the day, the glory will be for the governor who was there at the time that he made a mark. And, posterity will speak for you at the end of the day, that you did something and the people will not forget. And that will trickle down to your generation that comes after you at the end of the day. So it's critical we write our names in gold, but oftentimes we do not see most of our leaders doing that. So governance is about service to the people, and in serving the people, you must be as transparent as possible. It's critical to ensure that the people trust you at the end of the day and work with you, which is critical for you to achieve what you want to achieve. You made a promise that you want to serve the people, but then it's important that there is some level of transparency and camaraderie between you and the people. It's critical.
Okay, so can we talk about food?
I know. You like food.
No. Let me read this story now in Business Day. It says, Nigeria's food system under growing strain. Have you seen the price of food? Have you gone to the market recently?
Of course. Why not?
So you should understand that every day these prices go up. Forget the fact that the festivities are coming and all of that. Every day you go to the market, the price of food is, from the previous month, it's gone higher. Maybe
it's not even about the previous month. It's about a matter of hours. Sometimes you might go to the market in the morning and perhaps you forgot to buy something and you return in the evening and the price of things are different.
Double or triple.
It keeps changing.
Yes.
It's just unfortunate. And these were the issues we spoke to earlier, that talking about the fact that these issues have to be addressed.
It has to.
When you look at the matter of climate change also affecting adversely, because even when we grow these crops, we do not have as much storage for them that we can, revert to when we are running out of these things or where we have a matter of climate change. But then again, most of these food items are being imported into the country. Most of these food items are being imported because we are not yet food sufficient. So we need to still get more from outside the country. I mean, look at our number, over 200 million, as has been reported. We haven't done population census in quite a while. So that is the number we're looking at, 200 million, and counting, actually.
And counting.
So at this point, we haven't reached the point where we can say we are food sufficient. And again, countries surrounding us also come into the country to buy for themselves.
So it means we're importing this food just for us to be food sufficient. We import this food and it puts a strain on the dollar. And so if it puts a strain on the dollar, it still comes back to us.
Yes.
Because the tomatoes or the bag of rice that someone buys, for instance, bag of rice, someone buys for about 45,000 naira now. If he buys it at 40-something or 30-something and wants to make a gain, tomorrow, because of the price of dollar, it increases. He has not gone anywhere, but it has increased because he's a businessman.
He wants to make profits.
Wants to make profits.
Right.
So
so that he can go back to the market to buy more goods than sell. He can't close his business as it is.
Yes.
So the strain on the dollar is also
affecting
because we are still importing as it is. We also look at the matter of insecurity as well, up north and even in the middle belt. We see how that most farmers cannot go to the farm.
Yes,
because of the level of insecurity. Recall that at some point, somewhere in the north the farmers went to the farm and then they were killed because they were said to have given out information. And they got killed in the process. As some of them are paying taxes. The reports we get, some of them pay taxes to these persons before they can access their own farms. So these are some of the challenges that needs to be addressed critically if we are looking at the matter of achieving food sufficiency, because when people buy in bulk, they want to make profits. Yes. They sell to other African countries who are willing to buy as it is, because their own currency still has some
form of value
as it is as against ours, even though we are seeing the naira gaining against the dollar in recent times. We just mentioned it this morning in the papers that it's about over 800 naira, so to speak. So we are still seeing that pressure. So for us to have that food sufficiency that we need as a country that will crash the price of food items, we have to address this hydra-headed issue in all forms. We are also looking at the matter, I'll still go back to the matter of climate change, because even if you address security, you address the matter of storage,
you have to address the matter of gas flaring.
If you plant and the floods come, it will wash off everything.